Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. Going to have a look at weather for next week's 10 days. For today's video, day 10 will take us to the 16th of January, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the GFS and ECM ensembles, maybe run to around a couple of weeks. No CFSV2 update for this video. Hasn't updated overnight for some reason. I think there's been some sort of problem outage over the past few hours with NOAA. So don't know what's happened, but no CFS, and some of the GFS output's been a little bit disrupted over the past few model runs as well. But we've got plenty to be going on with. Please like, share, subscribe on videos, and thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Right, let's start off with radar picture from Weather Outlook. So we've got outbreaks of rain, sleet, and snow pushing eastwards across the country at the moment. So it's been very cold. It was very cold overnight. This wet weather is moving into that cold air and has delivered snow across some northern parts of the country, and even a little bit through parts of Midlands, for example. Been a few flakes falling there. It will mostly be rain in the south, but go further northwards, and we will see some of that turning to snow. It's very cold out there at the moment across most parts of the country, where it has turned a little bit less cold in the west. But for example, we've got freezing, 0 degrees there at High Wycombe. We've got 0 degrees at Link. We've got 0 degrees at Warcop, and also at Shap. These are midday temperatures, remember, and 0 degrees at SW, where it will almost certainly be snowing. Outside of that, where it's freezing, temperatures only like just above. So Lake Heath at 3 degrees, Wittering at 1 degree, Waddington at 2 degrees, Leeming at just 1 degree, Bulmer at 1 degree, and Aboyne at 1 degree as well. A little bit less cold out west. So we've got 10 degrees flush away there at St Mary's, and also we've got 10 degrees at Wexford in Ireland as well. Southern Wales got Senny Bridge at 3 degrees, so still quite cold there. Aberdaron, I think that is, at 7 degrees. So it's a little bit less cold in the far west and southwest, but generally most parts of the country very cold after that really frosty start. Have the coldest night of winter so far, and yeah, going to be a cold day across the country for us today. Central England temperature is currently looking like this. So we're standing at 7.7 now, which is an anomaly of 4.3 degrees above average. That is provisional to the 5th, to yesterday, 5th of January. That's lost again over a degree. Yesterday, up to the 4th, it was standing at 8.8. It's now 7.7, so we have dropped that by another degree in the 24 hours from the 4th to the 5th of January. And obviously, once we take into account today's, very frosty night and that we had last night, and also the cold temperatures we got today, that's going to plummet when it updates, so it will be down into the 6s, maybe low to mid 6s tomorrow. But yeah, 7.7, 4.3 above average, provisional to the 5th. We're still unraveling the exceptionally warm first day of the month. New Year's Day was really warm. I think we will see that down to 6.5 and under, probably, when it updates tomorrow. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks, we're at London today. So red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off pretty cool over the next few days. There will be some warmer sectors mixed in, but overall, going into the end of the first week, into the beginning of the second week of January, quite cool. After that, we're going to see the upper air temperature lifting up as we go through that second week of January into the middle part of the month, and then maybe a drop in the upper air temperatures as we go into the second half of January. There are 1 or 2 on some elements that are going really quite cold. An equal number that are keeping things pretty mild, however. So a lot of uncertainty really from around 16th, 17th of January onwards. But before then, starting off pretty cold and then going milder with the upper air temperatures next week. Precipitation-wise, unsettled start, but it goes drier around the middle part of the month, perhaps a little bit more unsettled again into the second half of the month. If we have a look at the sea level pressure, see what that's doing. So yeah, we're starting off with pretty low pressure at the moment for the next few days, but we'll see pressure rising as we go through the course of next week, and then we begin to drop it. Pressure falls away as we move into the second half of January. And in terms of the 2 meter temperatures, they're looking like this. So starting off quite cool at the moment. It's a bit of a lift up next week, but actually not as much of a warm up next week. Remember yesterday and the day before, it looked like we were going to go above double-digit temperatures through next week. Now we're restricting that a little bit. So actually the very mild weather looked like we might get next week. The GFS anyway has backed off that a little bit. And then beyond that, going quite cold actually into the middle and second half of January, and quite a few night frosts coming through in places as well. In terms of snow, that's how we're looking for snow row. Don't look like that. So not all that much snow for London. A little bit, maybe a little bit of potential, maybe over, of course, tomorrow with wintry showers and whatnot, but not really much. And in the second half of January, not all that much showing up there. Temperature anomalies on the 6th to 14th of January are coming out around to a little bit below average, slightly colder than normally in many parts of the country weekend. And precipitation anomalies from the 6th to 14th of January, largely on the drier than average side. Latest wind flow map from NorthSchool.net shows that we're bringing in low pressure from off the Atlantic today, deep low pressure to the south of Greenland, active weather pushing through here, and then behind that we're introducing quite cold west to northwesterly winds for tomorrow. Latest UK Met Euro run is looking like this. So rather cool, cold, showery into Sunday, and then early next week you start to raise heights both south and to the east. That turns things drier, especially so in more southern areas. Pretty mild through the early part of next week. Will still be a little bit wet and windy up in the north. Then high pressure really takes over into the middle part of next week. That brings mild weather mainly to Scotland. England and Wales could be frosty with that, maybe some frost and fog, depending on how much cloud there is under that area of high pressure. Icon is looking like this. Again, rather unsettled over weekend, quite cold, wet and windy. Actually, just need to flip that out. That's 12 there. Right, so this is the midnight Icon run. Right, so here we go then. Monday, high pressure is reaching up. That happened. High pressure reaching up from the southwest on Monday, trying to build over Scandinavia as well as we go through into Tuesday. Let's have a look. So again, pretty mild in the south, but mainly dry with high pressure building up from south, a little bit more unsettled up in the north. Get through into Wales. It looks rather westerly, I have to say, for the northern areas, in particular mainly dry down in the south. Will be quite mild through the early part of next week. By Thursday next week, still mild with both westerly winds in northern areas, mostly anticyclonic though down in the south, and mostly dry through there. And as far as we get to with Icon into 180 hours, where we're looking mainly dry for the south, a little bit more unsettled in the north, and quite mild. Not as much of a build of high pressure across England and Wales with Icon through next week, so therefore that is a milder week for next week. The GFS midnight run, we're going to look at that at the weather outlook because it did not update at West Central. So there has been problems with NOAA over the past few model runs. So this is the GFS midnight run. Over weekend, rather cool and unsettled, and then into the part of next week, you find high pressure building quite strongly. Much more of a build of high pressure early next week with the GFS. I'm not sure what the GFS is doing with this high pressure next week compared to all of the other models. But look at that, this is Tuesday next week. Very anti-cyclonic with high pressure from the Azores to northern Europe. So that brings a colder scenario through next week. Mainly dry in most areas with risk of frost and fog. Nowhere near as much of the southwesterly influence. That high pressure with a midnight GFS run again strengthens over the country as we go through into the middle next week. That's Wednesday. Because that high pressure is centrally located, the air is coming in off the continent. There would be frost and fog, I think, with that. So nowhere near as mild for next week with the GFS midnight run. Much more anti-cyclonic. We're moving up towards day 10 now. We're starting to pull that high pressure out to west. So this does go milder then. So that's allowed these milder winds from off the Atlantic to move in around the top high, especially to northern areas. And then we're going to the extended range and notice heights are rising over Greenland and Iceland as we start to pull in like a colder northern wind. And so in the extended range into the second half of January, this is 20th of January, we start to set up like a blocking area of high pressure around Greenland and Iceland. Pull colder air in from the north with low pressure down to south. It looks like it could be, quite a snowy scenario, becoming increasingly cold and wintry then into the second half of January. As far as we get to with GFS midnight run, it's the 22nd of January, very long way out, of course, with high pressure out to our west, blocking in the Atlantic up to Greenland and Iceland, and bringing in these cold north or northeast winds, which would deliver snow to northern and eastern areas. Perhaps keep our feet on the ground with that. Bear in mind what happened over Christmas. It's just one model run. It might not come off, but there we go. That's what the GFS midnight run wants to turn it much colder into the second half of January if north or northeast winds. This is the very latest. This is the GFS 6Z. Again, looking rather cold and showery on Sunday, early next week. Again, very different to the other model output. Much stronger with this ridge of high pressure that's building from the Azores to the Scandinavian high, or it wants to be a Scandinavian high, but sort of collapses southwards. But anyway, turning anticyclonic through the early part of next week, and so therefore nowhere near as mild, not bringing up the winds from the west to the southwest for the early part of next week, just quite cold, dry and frosty for the early part of next week. Actually a bit of an easterly there into southern areas into the second half next week. Again, this is very different to what rest of the model output is doing with this high pressure through the course of next week, and it is a much colder ridge therefore. As we get to day 10, the high pressure finally slips away to Eastern Europe. Low pressure comes in from off the Atlantic. That brings outbreaks of rain with it. And then, but again, similar to a midnight GFS run, that low pressure starts to slip southwards. Heights begin to rise around Greenland and Iceland. Turns much colder into the second half of January, with winds turning into the north and to the northeast. And eventually, as low pressure gets involved, there'd be a risk of a lot of snow as well across many parts of particularly England and Wales, actually, interestingly with that. But but ignore that. The main idea is that it does turn much colder with the GFS midnight and also 6Z runs into the second half of January. As I've been saying in videos, where that high pressure goes ultimately is going to be very important for the second half of the month. This is a precipitation forecast based on that GFS 6Z run from the weather outlook. So here's the rain, sleet and snow coming in off the Atlantic for today. Tomorrow we're into wintry showers, and we might bring a more general area of snow, rain, sleet and snow into more southern areas through the course of tomorrow afternoon. Wintry showers further north and west, especially if the east so stays dry. Into the weekend, we're just talking about rain primarily, although there will be a little bit of wintriness in the north on Saturday night into Sunday, but yeah, kind of rain over the weekend. And then next week, of course, high pressure takes over, it turns drier. Just with a little bit of snow there for the south, I would ignore that. I'm not sure what the GFS is doing with this colder scenario for next week, because all of the other model output seems to suggest next week is relatively mild, so I don't know quite what the GFS is doing really for next week. But anyway, we get into the extended range. It turns much colder then with those winds going into the north after day 10. A lot of snow in places, and we finish up, look at this, with a real snowmaker into the south. Look at that. That looks very, very significant, real dump of snow across many parts of southern, southeastern England, lowland southern England, by the 22nd of January. So it'll be 2 weeks away. It almost certainly won't verify, but it's a little bit of eye candy from the GFS today. GM, again, rather cold. And if you enjoyed the video, by the way, please smash the like button, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that for GavsWeatherVids. We've got to put on around 10 subscribers now, I think, to get to 13.1k. Right, thank you so much. Right, a GM, again, tries to raise the heights to the south and east early next week. It probably keeps it quite dry and cold actually in the south. Northern areas are a little bit more unsettled though. By the second half of next week, we're all under this big ridge of high pressure, quite mild for Scotland. Otherwise, probably dry and frosty for England and Wales under that high pressure. And just keep the high pressure going, really, as we get to day 10, which is the 16th of January. Of course, the very cold northerly winds are setting in again over Scandinavia and Northern Europe, so the cold Northern European winter goes on up there. We remain under the ridge of high pressure on the periphery. Will that high pressure go north beyond day 10, like the GFS is trying to do, and set up over Greenland? That, of course, remains to be seen. And then the ECM looking like that, rather cold and showery on Sunday. Then early next week, less of a build of high pressure, so therefore we have a milder scenario, as always, from the ECM. Through the early part of next week. Second half of next week, yes, just a little bit drier, maybe frosty down in the south, pretty mild though, west-southwest winds up in the north. Day 10 looking basically still quite mild, really, with the ECM, although there is a little bit of a northwesterly wind setting in then. This is the precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Precipitation.com. Lots of wintry showers into the west tomorrow, a little bit of rain, snow down in the south, and then through the weekend and into the early part of next week, bouts of rain coming and going through the early part of the week before it turns drier, of course, as high pressure takes over. A few showery bursts by day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for daytime, which gets us to the 16th of January. 21 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to our northeast, high pressure to our west, and so be bringing in a rather chilly west to northwesterly wind with about 16. Have high pressure over and just to the west of the country, bringing in more of a milder westerly flow. That does include the control and the operational run. And then 14 with high pressure just to our west, low pressure to our east, winds coming in kind of from a west or a northwesterly type direction. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. We'll get us to the 21st of January. 15 members of the ECM ensembles then digging in low pressure to the north and east and trying to get wind into what looks like it could be quite a cold northwesterly to northerly. 15 with high pressure just out to our west, around that. We're bringing in winds from like a northwesterly direction. That could be quite chilly, mainly dry. 11 with high pressure to our west and northwest, low pressure to our east and southeast. Winds could be coming in from a northeasterly direction with that. I suppose that's kind of similar to what the GFS, midnight and sixthenth runs are doing, pulling in those cold northeasterly winds. That's the coldest and most wintry of the solutions, especially so for more southern areas, but only 11 going in that direction, and then 10 quite mild with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, winds coming in from the west. So will it turn colder into the second half of January? Remains to be seen, but there is a possibility that it might do. And remember, next week, if that high pressure behaves as the GFS output is doing so, it will be a colder week next week than the rest of the model output is doing. But I'm not sure what the GFS is on, really, with that. Most of the model output looks relatively mild, but also drier for next week. So it all remains to be seen. It all remains to be revealed. And that's it, though. No CFS run today. So that's the end of your 10 to 14 days. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. Make sure to sub to the channel. Thank you so much for doing that. And drop a comment. Let us know anything about this and all of our videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing this. For GavsWeatherVids. Right, we're done. We're done. So just tell you what's... Oh, I better answer the phone. There we go. Sorry about that. Almost got to the end, didn't I? There's always somebody dialing into GavsWeatherVids towers, I don't know. Right, just to tell you what's coming up tomorrow then. And then we're done. So we're going to start off with a 7 AM upload. We'll have JMA Friday, it's back. I know so many of you have missed it. JMA Friday returns tomorrow, and there'll be a 10 to 14 day as well. I don't think we'll be live streaming tomorrow night. So the next sort of main live stream will be on Sunday. And there'll be a channel members live stream though on Saturday. If you're a channel member, you can check into that on Saturday. But yeah, I don't think I'll do a live stream. Sorry, this has been a pretty hectic week. So I think I'll have another early one tomorrow night. Right, okay, so that's it for day 10 to 14 day. But you enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And we'll be back with more updates and videos tomorrow. But for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.